many Singaporeans of my generation still remember when we had water rationing, when we were short of water, when we didn't have pipe water to all our homes and we had to collect water from sandpipes. And the situation in sanitation was equally challenging. People were defecating in the open or into a hole or a bucket. So my question to you is, what are the 3 most important lessons that you could share with our friends on how Singapore managed to overcome the challenge of water and the challenge of sanitation?
I think that's a very difficult problem. It's taken us 50 years to get here. We started off with the approach that water is not just an economic or practical matter, but a strategic necessity for Singapore. Because we are a small, dense island, we have rainfall, but we don't have enormous catchment areas, and we have to provide enough water for our people. We started off almost completely dependent on imported water. We had 2 water agreements with Malaysia, which were guaranteed when we became independent, and they continue to supply us to today. But we decided that we had to make an enormous effort on a national basis to become more self-sufficient. So I think making a national effort was absolutely necessary. The government, all parts of the government, the public, getting it into people's minds, making it not just a matter of price or convenience, but of strategic necessity. I think secondly, we mobilize our machinery in order to make all the parts come together and work. If you have to build a reservoir, it's not just having the space for the water. You have to clear the catchment. You have to make sure that people don't dirty the catchment, that habits are clean, that the population understands what is involved and will support you. I think that's taken many years of public education, but we've put the effort in and we continue to put the effort because every generation has to understand this afresh. I think thirdly, we've tried to make the maximum advantage of technology, of new techniques of progress. When we began in the 1960s or 70s, you either depended on rainwater or if you went for desalination, it was prohibitively expensive. Today we have alternatives. We've got recycled water. We call it new water. In fact, we're drinking some of it here. It's economical. It can provide up to half our water supply eventually. Even desalination has become much more economical than before, although still expensive. So we continue to invest in new technology and to invest in research and development so that we will have the best system and the best resources to meet our needs.
Good. Prime Minister, may I ask you to share your thoughts with us on a contentious issue in water policy, and that is the price of water. If we look at the world, there are essentially 3 different schools of thought. There are those who feel that water should be given away for free. It's a public good. Then, in many countries, water is not given away for free, but is heavily subsidized. And then there's a third school to which we belong, which is to price water to reflect its real economic cost. How are you able to do that and at the same time make it affordable to poor Singaporeans?
I think this is a very important part of managing demand for water. That is to get the price right so that people understand that this is a scarce resource and will value it. And at the same time, so that the producers of water are able to get an economic return on their investment and can put the plants and make the finances work. We have decided that in Singapore, we better try our best to get the price right. Because if you make it for free, nobody will bother to turn off the tap. Or why should they? It doesn't make any sense. It's just convenience, leave it on, somebody else is paying. If you ask what is the cost of the water, then really the cost is the marginal cost for the next drop of water which I have to produce. Not the average drop, some of which comes from the sky in the form of rain, but the next drop of water after I've collected all the rain, after I've collected all the runoff, and that is I have to desalinate in order to get the next drop of water. And that is a scarcity value of the water, and that's what really the economists will say you need to charge. Now, whether you can or can't, that's a political matter, because nobody wants to pay more than he needs to. And if it's a low-income household, it could be a burden on the families. But we have gradually, over a period of time, moved our water rates to approximate the true economic value of the resource. We've got a conservation tax so that we encourage people to conserve water, knowing that this is something which they have to keep on paying attention to. But at the same time, we also have schemes to help low-income households directly, so that nobody will really feel that they can't afford the water which they need to drink to clean themselves or whatever. But the way we help the low-income households is we have a subsidy. We call it the U-Save, Utility Save Subsidy. We pay a cash grant directly into the utilities accounts of individual households. Then it's up to them. They want to use the water, that's fine, in which case the water is paid. They pay for the water. They don't want to use the water, they use less. This is a grant which can roll over and they can save it for the future. So we make sure that nobody cannot afford it. But at the same time, everybody knows what it is worth. But I think if we just went on pricing, it would not be a complete strategy how to deal with this problem, because it also has to get into people's mindsets, and you also have to have your appliances, whether it's your water closets, whether it's your washing machines, also to have water efficiency standards, and you almost have to make it a religion. So every drop of water counts, and even if it's a lot of trouble to save this, and maybe you do the sums, it doesn't quite add up, but I want you to have that in your mind and to treat it as if it is something very, very precious. And that's what we have tried to do with our water-saving campaigns and all our different programs all over Singapore.
Bien, I was very impressed by the statistics published by PUB, and I have every reason to believe that they are authentic, that even for poor families, the cost of water constitutes only 3% of household expenses. I think that's a very impressive number.
Well, the key thing is for a poor household like that, the amount we top up their utilities account with, in terms of U-Save, is probably even more than the amount of water which they consume.
Right.